Before starting, I would like to thank the organizers. It's a post-lunch session. The lunch has been really good. And I thought I will make it very short and crisp and a bit of interactive session. I'm trying to talk about certain concepts which are very difficult to understand, and I'm trying to make it a little bit crisp and short, so that if I'm not able to do it, please ask me questions right away. I would appreciate that. What is speech perception? The dictionary meaning is an ability to have a particular understanding of something. Whereas when we go into speech and language pathologists and audiologists, they will be talking about the making of inferences about language patterns, that is understanding the patterns of phonemes, words, phrases and sentences. So speech perception is a specialized aspect of general human ability, the ability to seek and recognize patterns. That goes by definition. Let's see into more intricacies and let's try and understand. I want to go directly to the topic. There have been slides of people talking about speech perception development, but let's hit it on the nail, the head of the nail. Is there a difference between perception with hearing aids and perception with cochlear implants? What do we all feel? Is there a difference between perception with hearing aids and cochlear implants? Yes, there is. Now, the acoustic information, whatever the child hears, is perceived through a device. Whether it's a hearing aid or a cochlear implant depends on the device and on the child's perceptual abilities. The device itself, is it a hearing aid, is it a cochlear implant, what is the strategy used, and what are the child's abilities? You have to remember that. One thing which we all need to remember is that if a child can perceive second form information through their devices, then they have greater advantage in speech perception. Second form information, you keep on reading it in books, and if you are in the field of ASLP, you may hear about it in MASLP 1 and 2, and that's about it. And the information is gone. So let me put it in very, very short what it means. In order to progress very far in developing skills in vowel and consonant perception of second formants is important. I'm coming to what they look like. Children with cochlear implants and analog BTE users, profoundly deaf, those with loss 91 dB to 110 dB HL who can respond across the frequency spectrum can perceive second formants. But beyond that, they will have difficulty. When I say BTE, I'm talking about analog BTE users with hearing impairment greater than 110 dB HL who perceive speech contrast that are based only on syllable patterns. It's a park versus just a pattern, a fish and an apple. There is a difference in the pattern over there. And vowel duration, is it a long vowel or a short vowel? They do not get sufficient information through their hearing aids. So hearing aid will just provide information about patterns and duration and will not provide information about, I'm talking about analog, about spectral features and frequencies. So let us see what are formants. Formants are vocal tract resonances. What does that mean? When we are saying a word, a vowel like a, at that time the three important things are your lungs give a source of air, and that goes into your laryngeal cavity. That cavity puts resonance on the acoustic pressure wave, the wave which comes out. That is reflected when you speak onto a software you speak, and you get it on a graph, a spectrograph, as dark bands. We'll see some of the bands. So that laryngeal resonance is F1, formant 1. This is very simple. I'm putting it very simply, it's not all that simple. I just wanted you to just get an overlook about this. F2 would be the oral cavity resonance. In your oral cavity, what are the resonance features? So here it's your waveform, your air, the wave coming out from your lungs out into the larynx and from the larynx into the mouth. So how is it caught onto a paper when you're talking? So we have sophisticated software. It will come as F2. And F3 is when the sound is out of your lips, that will be the radiation of the lips. Now when you're talking about consonants, pa, ta, ka, ba, da, ga, sa, sha. So there are F2 transitions from the consonant to the vowel. What's the change which is happening? That is very important. And each particular consonant or vowel will have some acoustic cues. For example, plosives will have a burst duration, where the burst occurs, and all that can be caught up into a spectrogram. So let me look at this now. This is a spectrograph. It's a wideband spectrograph. Here I have all these dark things which you are seeing. That is A, that's the vowel A. What is said is Pa and Apa. So here a transient feature here is a Pa. Little more darkness and more continuous. This shows the vocal fold vibrations. This is a Ba. Now I tried to videotape this. It didn't work at the last minute. So I'm just trying to make you understand that at the level of the glottis, what is the sound which would be heard as a P. When I'm saying a P, it's the A coming in the vowel, so it's becoming very much amplified. I'll just give it a try. That's the P. Which is caught up, which is such a little transient event. You can hardly hear it. A normal hearing, yes. A child with hearing impairment will not. A child using an analog hearing aid will not. Cochlear implanted, yes, they will hear it. But will they hear it immediately? They will require a lot of training because it's such a transient event. It's a rapid acoustic event which requires a lot of training. It has to be repeated a number of times. There has to be a lot of timing of firing of the neurons. Only will they be able to hear. That's a small little difference. So that was a Pa and that's a Ba. Now let us see something else. So a Pa would be and a Ba would be B. That's the only thing. Now you look at Sa and Sha. Sa, this entire range, there is a lot of noise. It's not Sa, it's S. And see this, it's so robust, dark. That's a So, will a child, this is also transient, but it's a little longer than those Pa and Ba. It has got high frequency noise. This has got low noise ranging across the whole frequency spectrum. So, will a child using analog BT, will he hear this such high frequency sounds? No. Will a child using an implant? Definitely they will hear it, but this is one thing which comes up very early when after the switch on. The parents will say with the BTE, my child could not say a sir and sha, and now he's saying sir and sha, but he's not saying ma and na. Which one is easier? Now let us see why that is. So now this is again a Sa compared to a Za. Za is an affricate, it's a combination of a plosive and a fricative. It has got both features, being very transient and having noise. It will be still difficult to perceive, and so many of the implantees, only after a lot of training they will be able to hear it. Now one thing which parents will come and tell you, why doesn't my child say a Ma or a Na? Ma is a nasal, Ma, Na are nasals. You saw a Pa earlier, this is Ma. It has got a lot of nasal murmur, and it has got anti-resonance band. Here is a resonance, here will be anti-resonance, here will be resonance, anti-resonance. And that's going to cause a lot of confusion when with electrical stimulation and even with the hearing aid also. A confusion as to what is being heard. So again, the child is going to find it difficult to say a Ma or perceive a Ma. Now the main question is, all of this acoustics, how does it help me really? Is it helping me as a clinician? Why do I need to know all of this? This is really very helpful because you need to have planned session in training in perception, and you realize that if you select your stimuli for training very much according to the acoustic information you have, you are going to make the child use his implant very well. Or even a BT user also, you can know the acoustics and choose your stimuli. So CI users are able to distinguish the voicing feature and word, but it requires training. Pava, tada, kada. Unlike normal listeners, CI users have more difficulty in perceiving nasals. I've already mentioned why and shown you why. Unlike analog hearing aid users, CI users can perceive strident, fricative. Strident would be the hissing kind of a sound. Non-strident ones would be the f and the w. You look at your client, the children which you all have at your center, that you will see that they are not being able to perceive a f or a v, but a s and sh is coming in easily. Why are they not perceived? Because the low intensity of the noise energy is maybe difficult to perceive. Again, how does knowing this help me as a clinician? Gap duration, that is when the burst is when support for the process, the duration of the burst, how much is the duration, how short it is, short form and transitions from a consonant to the vowel, what is the change which is coming in, may be difficult to perceive, therefore perception of affricates may be difficult. So if you are having a list of things in which there are chers and jers and mers and ners, and you're talking to the child and he's not going to perceive much. This is about summaries of a number of studies in the US. This was about consonants, now we are looking at vowels. So this is taken from the Speech Perception Instruction Curriculum and Evaluation by Jean Moog and Angers at the Central Institute for the Deaf. And we have come with this instructional curriculum, just like we have medium of instruction Marathi, and then the subjects would be maths and you do this and whatever, Ganit and Vinyan and all that. Or you would have, I wish to say this, if you would have an umbrella term AVT, which is really very good and working so well, but you have to have an instructional curriculum to train listening. So, Jean Moog and Angers gives this, that this is a curriculum, start with this and proceed and evaluate the child. So these are the group 1 vowels, which are U, the short U, O, O. These are the group 2 vowels, okay, R is also in group 1, group 2 are and and the group 3 are A and E, I and E. All of these, what they have found is that the group 1 vowels are easiest to perceive because the second formants are falling near the 1000 kilohertz region, which a BT user will also be able to hear. The group 2 are going to be difficult because their second formant, which is indicating on the place of articulation and the forward to backward movement of the tongue, is falling a little higher. And the group 3 vowels are going to be still more difficult. So if you're going to select a stimuli and you remember these aspects, which vowels are easy to perceive and which vowels are difficult to perceive, then you can make your therapy plan much adequate. And what they suggest is you contrast the easiest one with the most difficult one. So some cues the child will get. Then narrow down on the contrast. So that was just an inkling into the formants and transitions and all that, just a little bit of an inkling. I hope you have kind of understood this. There's so much into it, a lot of acoustic and speech sciences. So then what happens? Do we need perception tests pre and post cochlear implants? What do you feel? Do we need tests? Yes, we need to, then we need to decide. Why do we need them? It gives us a baseline of the child's perception skills. Where is the child today? Is he perceiving adequately? He is not perceiving, let me look at my stimuli. Do I need to change my stimuli? Yes, I need to do that. I'm using a lot of mers and ners, chers and jers, let me just change. It enables us to plan an appropriate speech perception and speech teaching plan. You need to have language training, language speech listening. I say that you cannot segregate your ears and your mouth. It's a holistic approach. So you have AVT, you're talking to the child, you're building up the language and you're doing a lot. That's really very good and you need to do it. At the same time, we need to have a little bit of time at the end of the day or any time where we will be doing systematic speech perception training and speech teaching plan. It is an objective way of measuring outcomes. That was one of the topics which was in the last, I did not attend it, but I got a lot of feedback. How do you measure the outcomes with the implant? Is there any particular objective? I feel he has improved. Is it sufficient? No. You need to have outcome measures in which you can do perception tests. Enables the clinician to explain to the parents why their child is not able to say a much or for, etc. You can explain to the parents, so this is it. This is going to come a little later. Enables the clinician to answer the question, why does my child not speak clearly yet? It's 1 year after the implant, I have so many of them coming. He's listening, he's doing everything, his language is improved, but he's not speaking so much, his speech is not very clear. Yes, if I have my acoustics, only a basic information with me, I should be able to explain to parents. There's going to be reception, comprehension, understanding, all that will come first, and then it's only going to be production. And production will be there if your plan is proper, having a lot of acoustic information, a lot of planning. After CI, is listening perception training in a systematic way important? Do you feel? Okay, the child is implanted and then you start just talking to him, and the very day after the switch on, the child will tell you that I have this sound, oh, does a paper also make a sound? Or, oh, this is too much of noise. So certain children, the older ones, will come and say that this is so much of noise, I would rather go back to my hearing aid. I cannot tolerate this. So, do we need perception training? Yes, definitely. What are the speech stimuli we need to use and start with when providing listening training? The easiest way to start it with suprasegmental features. They are at low frequencies, so you have rhythm, duration and stress. You could start with sentences and contrast them with words. So you have something like ladka snan kar raha hai and a small rephrase gir gaya. So ladka snan kar raha hai, it's just duration. Gir gaya, it's just duration features. Or you bring in intonation like oh kya kar rahe ho, and then you go on to something which is flat. Acha main ye kar raha hu. So there is a lot of change in pitch and intonation versus a flat speech. You could start with that first. You start with consonants. In consonants, this is just an error. Fricatives will be easy, followed by plosives, nasals, and then will be affricates. So whatever sentences or words you're going to start, remember this hierarchy. So with this little bit of information, can we make our own test? Yes, why not? Remember that when you have to start with suprasegmental features. When you have some specific tasks to do, you start with plosives, contrast them with the difficult one, that is affricates. You know which are the vowels. Vowel group 1 is easiest, and you can have your own plan and your own test. So a systematic program in perception training was given as SPICE, which is I mentioned, Jean Morgan Andres, Speech Perception Instructional Curriculum and Evaluation. It has got a whole curriculum, that is lessons. After this you do that. Very well given. Detection, the main things are detection. Everybody knows what's detection. Suprasegmental, because Erber has given the 4 stages. They remain the same, but that was way back in 1964. It's time to change now. So Nancy Taimare, Jean Morgan, so many people have given these stages: detection, suprasegmental perception, vowel and consonant perception, and the child is doing better. Connected speech, where you have keywords and carrier phrases. And all of this is based on acoustics of speech, and it has got empirical evidence. They have tested about 60 to 70 CI, usually 24 users, and come up with this program. Transfer skills to natural situation, a lot of activities for each level and goals suggested. It has a rating form for evaluating the child and back in training. Now, in CGCon last time it was, do we have Indian tests? Oh, we don't know, or maybe we have. Now there are 2 viewpoints to this. We have the tests, but they are not standardized and normalized. There is another viewpoint. Okay, whatever we have, let's do something with it. There is LLT and MLLT in Spanish being done in the US, and there is, I have heard about Mandarin, ESP in Mandarin. And do we have? Yes, we do have. It's just your viewpoint, just helping you to decide whether you want to use that, you don't want to. You can modify. I've spoken to so many centers in Mumbai, and each one is using their own little thing. That is very good. Naming body parts and numbers, etc. Just one thing to remember is acoustics of speech when you're into perception. That is very important. So these tests have been there. We being an academic institute would have had the advantage of getting an access to these tests. They are part of dissertations. They are normalized. May not be standardized. They may be just normalized. For example, Maya Devi, her test monosyllables in 1974. Samuel in Tamil. Then you have Tanuja Devi in Manipuri. They may not be published. Go to the respected institutes, get them. Then you have Ghosh in Bengali. You have Rajshekar in Picture SRT test for children in Kannada. Dr. Nagaraja synthetic speech identification test in Kannada. Sentences. Varsha Gurtu of AYJ translation of ESP in Marathi, which is published. It's there with her. We have it as Xerox. Then we have Raut standardized test of speech perception in English. Do we have tests again? Matthews developed a speech perception test in Malayalam, translation of NU chips. Then you have Garima test in Telugu. You have Savarkar from Aliyojan, a student, Marathi based. It's very much Marathi based, ESP based on Jean Morgan Andres. They are kind of this. Acharya, Archana Acharya, just very recent 2003. Vowel perception test in Marathi, an attempt made by Dr. Rekard and myself in Hindi. Yes, some of them are not normalized, some of them are not standardized. But there is a way to get around to these tests, go and access them, work with the person, go ahead, or they may be already be normalized and standardized. You need to find a way. In the making at NIHH in Hindi Marathi, we have a project under Science and Technology Mission Mode New Delhi, where we are trying to develop a home auditory training program. It is empirical with focus on acoustics of speech. Similar steps as in SPICE and certain features of word association and syllable perception, Fortsworth curriculum. We are trying to make it in Hindi and Marathi. It's high time it should be on shelf. We are behind schedule. We have had some technical problems. Then as a part of PhD thesis, certain individuals in our institute have taken up LNT and MLNT in Hindi and Marathi. Now certain tests available in the US, there are so many of them. I have had the opportunity to get a Xerox of them. Phonetically balanced word list, kindergarten PBK, BKB sentences test, Mr. Potato Head test, the common phrases test, lexical neighborhood test, multi-syllable lexical neighborhood test. One of my students, Ms. Sonal, is doing this for a dissertation. Certain other tests which are available, closed set tests, monosyllabic talkie-spondy test, word intelligibility by picture identification, Northwestern University Children's Perception of Speech and New Chips, auditory numbers test, just saying numbers 1 to 5 with some picture cards. And it goes on and on. It's here the Gale P test, pediatric speech intelligibility test, minimal pair test, early speech perception test, reading inventory of. So many are there, the list goes on. 22 tests are there in the US. A few of us are Xerox copies with us. So we looked at perception, hearing aids and cochlear implants, what's the difference? Acoustics of speech, how it is important in making your plan for speech perception, teaching. Need for speech perception tests pre and post CI. SPICE, a systematic perception training program. Tests in the West, Indian tests, that was the crux of the whole presentation. And our journey doesn't end, the journey begins. Once the implant is on, like Dr. Kirtan always says, the journey begins. And I really wish to take this opportunity to thank so many of us who are helping us out with dissertations. Dr. Kirtane for encouragement and support always. You call him up anytime when he's there. Mr. Rajesh Pataria, Ms. Nishita Mohandas and all at Hinduja, Dr. Mankekar and Ms. too. Mr. Oza, Shabnam Khan, Vandana Harinami, all at Shruti School, Ms. Aziza Tyabji, all at Oral. All of these centers we have personally approached for sending us kits for administering these tests. Ms. Rakhi Butala, I can never forget her, you call her anytime. Mr. Vidya Bhushan, Mr. Amrit, Ms. Shefali Shah, teacher of NAD, Ms. Jaspal, Ms. Deviumji, Amrita Bade, and all at CET, and we at AR School, of course, Director AYJ, without whom I wouldn't be here. Actually, speech and language pathology, Dr. Geeta Mukundan, our CI team, and the most important, the parents and the children. Thank you very much.